Well, they've been a fan favorite team for the past few seasons, and Buffalo basketball is back with another loaded roster full of offensively talented players. Today, I welcome in Coach Jim Whitesell. Coach, how are you doing today?
Man, I'm good. It's been good. We've had a fun summer. It's great to have the guys back, kind of back to the new norm, and see so much great progress with that. And then our students are back, our student body. Uh, it's exciting time to be here. We've had two home football games that have been fun to go to. You can see that energy's back here, and our guys are really enjoying it. So it's been a good thing, and our fall workouts so far have been good. We've been healthy, and making progress. So now we're ready for the next phase, which practice starts up next week.
Well, it's your third year, entering your third year as coach of UB. I know your first year, obviously, COVID ended everything for all the teams in the country. And then last year, we know that it was, for a lack of a better words, a little bit of a mess throughout the season. So what's the feeling going into year three?
Well, you kind of feel like things are getting close to back to normal. You know that you got to be pretty smart, and you're not out of the woods yet. So I'm hoping that we keep getting better and better with COVID. But it is nice to see, like, you walk your players, where you going, where you headed now, what time you had class, and you see the student body walking across campus. So I just think there's a real positive feeling towards what we got going on here. I think it's across the country. I was out recruiting yesterday. That's been reiterated over and over about how excited people are to kind of get back to some type of normalcy.
Well, obviously this season, in the off season, while plenty of teams had a lot of changes, you guys are going to bring back pretty much your whole chunk of starters from last year. So how does that kind of make you feel going into the season, knowing you've got your main group of guys back this season?
Well, that's good, because I think, 2 years ago when I got the job, we were kind of a very young group, and kids like Rondo Segou and Jonathan Williams had been in the program. They'd seen great success, but now it was kind of like your turn, jump in there, and they were, ready to get things done. But along with it, nothing can replace that experience. And now those kids now are veterans. They know their way around. They understand the expectation here, the responsibility, and that's been fun for me as a coach to see those guys grow. And I literally, just before I got on here, I was talking to Rondo about leadership, just kind of how that evolves to the next step and keep trying to get to the next step. So where 2 years ago, I was just talking about basketball things and making good decisions. Now I'm talking about him and Jonathan carry the group in terms of off the court and with responsibilities in terms of what captains do now.
You talk about those responsibilities and expectations. What are your expectations this season for UB?
Well, yeah, to me, I'm very optimistic. I think we've got a chance to have a very good team. I think the league is going to be outstanding. I mean, a lot of very good teams, a lot of great players coming back. A lot of kids took advantage of the COVID and a year coming back, which is, I think, smart and really good if you're motivated to come back. I mean, for those who chose not to, that's up to them. But to me, I think it's made your league older and more experienced. And the country's that way. So I think the product everyone's going to see, along with home court environment, is great for college basketball. And my expectation is, hey, look, around here, we want to go for championships. That's what you want to try to do. And certainly that hasn't changed, playing the NCAA tournament. And, along with it, have a championship experience off the court. It's one thing we talk about all the time with our guys. So those are the things we want to try to supply our guys. That's incredibly hard to do. But along with it, we feel like that's, what we want to strive and do on a daily basis with it.
Well, then obviously in your starting group, Coach, you've got two players in Josh and Jonathan that are, out of this world. I mean, they could start on most teams in the country. What's it like being able to rely game in and game out with those two?
Well, I think for Josh, I think the thing you see with it really stands out is the intangibles. That he's such a great rebounder. He's a very strong defensive player. I mean, he was defensive player of the year. He makes baskets happen on the defensive end. And he gets us second and third opportunities, and a very good free throw shooter. And then Jonathan's a natural scorer. So the big thing for those guys is you want them to keep improving on what they do best, but along with it is add another piece to their game. So for Jonathan, he's a real good post-up player, see if we can get him better, more shots in the paint. Josh, the idea, he's a good straight line driver. He's a guy that can take a guy off the balance. Can we improve that area for him? Both of them have really improved as a perimeter shooter, but along with it, kind of what can really help our team overall. And then the other thing is all the intangibles. Becoming a better player on the defensive end in the areas you weren't good enough last year. And that's a lot of it's just details because both the kids are very athletic. Both of them had a wealth of experience and had a lot of success last season.
And at the guard position, I know there might be one spot opening. I mean, someone that I have an eye on is Maceo Jack. And I know that at George Washington, he was a key part of that team really up until last season. So do you think he can kind of return to that form that he was during his sophomore and junior years?
I do. Maceo has really played well. He got here this spring. And so that really helped him having the ability to learn the system and work out with our guys. And he really helped us in practice. Once we got him, we started playing better. Part of that is you practice better. And, he's just a mature kid, very consistent, all about winning, doesn't care about how many points he scores, but he can really add to our shooting. He's a very, very good shooter. He's a good defender. He's strong. He's incredibly team oriented. So I'm really happy with him. So I think he's going to be a big part of our program this season. And along with it in the backcourt, obviously Rhonda Segu's back, a guy that our fans have known for a long time. And I'm expecting a lot out of him in the backcourt. I'm going to put the ball a lot in his hands. We picked up a young man named Curtis Jones from Indian Hills Community College. That's where Dante Carruthers went to school. He's coming in as a freshman, but he got to play a year under his belt. And due to COVID, he has 4 years. So it's kind of using him a redshirt year, but he got to play great action. And Indian Hills is one of the best junior college programs in the country. So really excited about his progression so far this summer and fall.
Well, your team's not backing down in the non-conference. You got games against Michigan, possibly St. Louis, St. Bonaventure's on the schedule, a couple other real good teams that'll be up there in their respective mid-major conferences. Is that more to help you guys get ready for the MAC play or, build that resume with your eyes on the postseason?
Matt, I think it's for both. My feeling is you always want to go for it. I mean, you may get smacked around. I remember our first year when I worked for Coach Oates, we played Duke, Iowa State. I think it was VCU, Old Dominion, and St. Joe's on the road. I think 4 of the 5 teams made the NCAA tournament, 1 made the NIT. And we weren't sure how good we were at Christmas, but we ended up getting better and better in January and February and ended up winning the conference tournament. So it's been always a little bit of our philosophy, play the best schedule you can. And you may take some bumps and bruises, but I think you're going to learn from those opportunities. And so with teams like opening up at Michigan, you better not have one bad practice. You better not have a day off. You better play max out and do your very, very best. Teams like North Texas, Western Kentucky. North Texas beat Purdue in the NCAA tournament last year. Western Kentucky is always a team, I think, preseason top 25, 30. You mentioned St. Louis, Stephen F. Austin were playing down in that tournament. They beat Duke 2 years ago. Canisius is always a crosstown rival. Bonnie's is in the top 25. UC Irvine has picked to win their league, the Big West. They've been in the NCAA tournament, I believe, 3 of the last 6 years. So we definitely did that for both things. Is that see if we hit it out of the park, you got a strong resume. A couple of years ago, that team would have made the NCAA tournament as an at-large bid. So you always want to give your every opportunity to do that. So that's certainly our philosophy when we schedule. So I may have some weary nights on it, but I think it really is the best thing for you in January and February. And these kids want to play against great teams. And so, we've loaded up another tough schedule for them.
Well, in the MAC, no more Jason Preston, no more Justin Turner, but you said it before, there's still a lot of good players in this league. Who are some of those names that you're already looking at the schedule, who you're going to play in conference and you're saying, wow, they're going to be a challenge to play against?
Well, Ohio, with the exception of losing Jason Preston, who's an outstanding player, their core is back. And then they also brought in Jason Carter, who was a very good player, all-college player before he left to Xavier and then came back. So they're loaded. They are absolutely loaded. I mean, a team that I think could get in that large bid. I believe that. Toledo's not going to be outstanding again. They had Ryan Rollins back, who was, kind got pro potential, outstanding guard. It goes on and on. Kent State, I think, is going to be very, very good looking at their team. Miami's got everyone back. And Miami and us, we had a heck of a game in the conference tournament. So, great respect for them. Akron has been a team that's won the 2 years I've been here, won more games in the conference, I think, than anyone. So those teams, I think, are loaded. And then you have 3 new coaches that have come in our league that'll be bringing new personnel that maybe we're not familiar, and also the style of play will be different. So it's going to be a great challenge for us. We got our work cut out for us, but I do think the league has been underrated the last couple of years. And I thought last year we probably, if we would have played a full conference schedule, I think it would have been interesting to see is to see some other teams maybe having at-large opportunities. I mean, obviously you have to do more and win those games non-conference wise, but I think we certainly had teams that were capable of doing that. So I think you're going to see it. I mean, for our fans, we've got the best fans in this league, and I think they're just really excited. Our football game's been on campus. So many of them have stopped up. Hey, we're jacked up. We're ready to go. We can't wait to see it. So I think we're going to draw really well this year and have an awfully good home court advantage.
When you've got a great schedule to show the fans as well. And of course, mentioned it before, that roster is looking good. You be a team to watch. Coach Whitesell, thanks for joining.
Matt, I greatly appreciate it. You have a great day.